Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know, when it's all said and done, only God can judge me.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we'll be looking at the most egregious cases where high-profile individuals were convicted or pleaded guilty to serious crimes, yet walked away with little more than a slap on the wrist.
In a 10-minute trial, he was charged with a misdemeanor, leaving the scene of an accident.
Todd and Julie Chrisley. The Chrisleys shot to fame on USA Network's Chrisley Knows Best, which showcased their lavish lifestyle as real estate moguls.
What's better than a huge gesture of love?
A gesture of love from the heart.
So not from my bank account.
Right.
But that glamorous image unraveled in 2019 when Todd and Julie were indicted for tax evasion and bank fraud. Prosecutors alleged they defrauded banks out of $36 million in loans, while also dodging about $500,000 in back taxes.
They did so by submitting false bank statements, false audit reports, and false personal financial statements. They also used fraudulently obtained loans to repay old ones.
Consequently, Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison and Julie to 7. After an appeals court upheld their convictions, the tides turned in their favor with Donald Trump's re-election. Their lawyers rebranded them as prominent conservatives targeted in a political witch hunt, despite their original indictment occurring during Trump's first term. Nevertheless, the strategy worked. In May 2025, Trump granted them a full presidential pardon.
Your parents are going to be free and clean, and I hope we can do it by tomorrow. Is that okay? We'll try getting it done tomorrow. So wonderful. Give them, I don't know them, but give them my regards.
Felicity Huffman. In 2019, a nationwide college admissions scandal erupted, which saw dozens of parents being arrested for trying to bribe their children's way into elite American universities. One of those parents was Felicity Huffman.
Federal charges in Operation Varsity Blues, accused of conspiring to use bribery and fraud to get their kids into top colleges. The middleman, a self-styled college counselor named Rick Singer.
Best known for her role in Desperate Housewives, Huffman became desperate indeed when she reportedly paid $15,000 to someone to take the SAT on her daughter's behalf. She was arrested and later pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services fraud.
The judge made it clear that she wants to send a message that just because you've got money and you've got privilege, it doesn't mean that you can get away with something like this.
Despite the severity of the charges, Huffman's sentence was relatively light. A $30,000 fine, 250 hours of community service, and just 10 days served out of a 14-day jail term. By comparison, many other parents who pleaded guilty received longer prison sentences and significantly higher fines.
And I know hindsight is 20/20, but it felt like I would be a bad mother if I didn't do it. So I did it.
Victor Salva. You've probably seen 2001's Jeepers Creepers, but did you know its writer-director, Victor Salva, is a convicted sex offender? Back in 1988, Salva was found guilty of sexual misconduct with child actor Nathan Forrest Winters, the star of his feature-length directorial debut Clown House.
That's what I don't like about clowns. Their faces are fake. Big happy eyes. Big painted smiles. It's not real.
Disturbingly, at least one of the assaults was videotaped by Salva himself. For a crime this serious, most people would be thrown behind bars for many years. But Salva was sentenced to 3 years in prison, of which he only served 15 months.
His grooming process was developing my love and trust, and developing my parents' trust. And so essentially he became a close friend of the family, and then that turned into where it was just like everything for him was sexual.
Since then, he has continued to work in the film industry, supported by heavyweights like Francis Ford Coppola, who reportedly told him that prison would enhance his artistic vision. Judging by Jeepers Creepers 2, we strongly disagree.
What happened? What did you see? What did you see? Come on! Did you see something or not?
Flew away.
Rick James.
Now, what's James Johnson like?
James Johnson's kind of laid back, and he likes one woman at a time. Rick James.
Come here, give me.
Assault with a deadly weapon, torture, false imprisonment, kidnapping. Yes, these were just some of the serious charges brought against 80s funk superstar Rick James. In 1991, James and his girlfriend were arrested for holding a woman captive for up to 6 days and coercing her into sexual acts.
According to Allen, when it came time for James to pay up for the drugs, he refused, wouldn't allow her to leave, then beat her up and broke her arm.
If convicted on all counts, James faced a potential life sentence. But it got even worse. While out on bail, the couple struck again, kidnapping another woman and subjecting her to a 20-hour ordeal. Surely this was a one-way ticket to prison for a long, long time, right? Well, James was found guilty on most counts, but he was sentenced to just 5 years in prison and walked free after serving a little over 2.
There was one guy back there, he'll never get out. We got this bar right now, and they were mad at me anyway. I think
But you really didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything at all.
Rebecca Gayheart.
I wish I had friends that would do this for me. Yeah, right. You'd have us killed. Brutally maimed, my dear.
After nearly a decade as a professional actress, Rebecca Gayheart's career was gaining momentum when she was involved in a tragic car accident in 2001. While driving on a street in Los Angeles, Gayheart struck Jorge Cruz Jr., who had run into the street chasing a soccer ball. The boy sustained severe injuries and died the following day. Although it was an unfortunate accident, it still resulted in the loss of a life, which carried serious legal consequences.
I'm not scared of you anymore, Courtney. We saw you. We all know you did it. No one will ever believe you.
Gayheart ultimately pleaded no contest to vehicular manslaughter. She received a sentence of 3 years probation, 750 hours of community service, and a 1-year license suspension, but served no jail time. In addition, she covered Cruz's funeral expenses and settled a wrongful death lawsuit with his family.
Everyone deserves a second chance, sometimes a third, fourth chance. We all need help being the best we can be, our best self.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. As one of boxing's most celebrated champions, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has made a fortune using his fists, but he's seemingly unable to differentiate between his opponents and the women in his life. Since 2002, Mayweather has racked up multiple convictions for domestic violence and battery, and surprisingly, the legal system has repeatedly bent to accommodate him. In 2010, it was reported that Mayweather physically assaulted his former girlfriend, leaving her with bruises and a concussion.
Once again, no pictures, just hearsay and allegations. And I signed a plea bargain, so once again, not true.
For this, he received a mere 90-day jail sentence, but the court delayed his reporting date so he wouldn't miss a boxing match. In the end, he served only 2 months. Apparently, the jail food and water didn't meet Mayweather's nutritional standards, so a judge just let him go.
Freedom is very important. Freedom is very, very important. And I'm just, I'm happy to be free. I'm happy to be back, in my children's life.
Don King. This controversial boxing promoter was involved in not one, but 2 separate killings, both of which he managed to evade serious consequences for.
I done been threatened to death of 9, 10 times. Shot, bombed, stabbed, blowed up in my house with bombs, and I'm still here talking to Matt Fry.
The first occurred in 1954, when King fatally shot a man attempting to rob one of his gambling houses. The incident was ruled a justifiable homicide, so he was spared jail time. Then, in 1966, King beat an employee to death over a $600 debt.
There's no secrets in this game, that's number one. And everybody is out there talking because expletives going back, accusations, allegations. You know what I mean? I said, no, man, I ain't no do nothing to you.
He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 1 to 20 years imprisonment. However, he ended up serving just under 4 years after his conviction was reduced to manslaughter. Remarkably, in 1983, King received a full pardon from Ohio Governor Jim Rhodes, thanks in part to support letters from prominent figures like Jesse Jackson and Coretta Scott King.
So when I come out of the penitentiary, usually people run from those who are ex-felons, but the community was there waiting for me at the gate and encouraging me to go out and fight the good fight.
Ted Kennedy. Apparently, being a member of one of America's most prominent families means that a deadly car crash can magically turn into a minor inconvenience. In July 1969, U.S. Senator Ted Kennedy left a party with Mary Jo Kopechne, a former campaign aide. when his car veered off a bridge and into a pond.
It led across a bridge to a beach where Kennedy had gone swimming earlier that day. While crossing the bridge, the senator's car jumped the curb, hit the water, and sank.
Kennedy managed to swim to safety, but claimed he was unable to rescue Chappaquiddick. Instead of calling for help, he returned home and had a good night's rest.
Around 9:30 a.m., some 10 hours after the accident, the senator got off the ferry, hurrying past a photographer, and walked into the police station.
Backed by his influential family, Kennedy landed a dream legal team that helped him plead guilty to merely leaving the scene of an accident causing bodily injury. He received a 2-month suspended jail sentence and carried on as a senator until his death in 2009.
I felt morally obligated to plead guilty to the charge of leaving the scene of an accident. No words on my part can possibly express the terrible pain and suffering I feel over this tragic incident.
Vince Neil. Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil played a major role in derailing the rising career of Finnish hard rock band Hanoi Rocks. In 1984, while the band was on its first US tour, Neil invited them to his home, where they spent hours partying.
Motley Crue, you all alright? Razzle, Hanoi Rocks. What's up, man? Well, we're touring the States for the first time, mate.
Let's sit down, join us.
When the alcohol ran out, Neil and Hanoi Rocks drummer, Nicholas Razzle Dingley, drove to a liquor store to buy more. However, on the way back, a drunk Neil lost control and crashed into another vehicle, killing Dingley.
Where are we? It's Christmas. Look at all the lights.
The occupants of the other car suffered lasting brain damage, while Neil escaped unhurt. He was charged with DUI and vehicular manslaughter, receiving a 30-day jail sentence and 5 years probation. Ultimately, he served just 15 days before being released for good behavior.
And you just try to learn from those mistakes and better your life. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but it's you kind of try your best.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Matthew Broderick.
To fix the situation, I'm gonna have to ask you for a small favor.
Just 1 year after his breakout role in the 1986 film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Matthew Broderick became embroiled in a tragic controversy far away from Hollywood. While vacationing in Ireland with his co-star and girlfriend Jennifer Grey, Broderick mistakenly drove into the wrong lane and collided head-on with an oncoming vehicle. The crash instantly killed the passengers in the other car, mother and daughter Margaret Doherty and Anna Gallagher.
I was in shock because I was the only living witness, and Matthew was unconscious and had amnesia, and the other 2 women died.
Broderick initially faced the more serious charge of causing death by dangerous driving, which carried a potential 5-year prison sentence. But surprisingly, he was convicted of the lesser offense of careless driving and fined just $175, a decision the victim's family condemned as a, quote, travesty of justice.
There's something about near-death experience and being that close to death, and that curtain just goes up and just somehow I slip through.
What do you make of these celebrity cases? Is justice really blind, or is she just a little starstruck? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
I literally turned to one of the FBI people in a flak jacket and a gun, and I went, is this a joke?